drum that I do that with. I have other drums that I use for journeying. I have other drums that I use for going into specific, like if I'm going into a specific world, I'll use a specific drum, either the upper world, the lower world, or if I'm journeying in the middle world. So, there's just different realms of consciousness. There's our realm, like a social realm, and there's the physical and the psychological and the spiritual and it's a methodology. So, but it's a way of understanding the subconscious.
Right.
But to me, it's a way of explaining the spiritual world. But it's also corresponds to different levels of consciousness.
Well, I think it's interesting too that that I worked with sound for a long time, just in a different way. I'm very, very, very into different frequencies and things like that. And then you find that people use the different frequencies for different chakras and things like that. Which I really don't know.
And for healing, I think it has merit. I think it has merit. I mean, there's sound healing work being done all over the place, and it's like, I don't know if it's in scientific journals, but I can say that it appears to be along scientific methods.
Yeah.
They're looking as scientifically as they can. It's not all esoteric stuff.
Well, absolutely. If you take a bass drum, or a bass speaker, and you fill it with some sort of a liquid material and play frequencies through it, you can see how that's affecting your body. And that I mean, obviously that can be used for good things. It can be used for bad things. I mean, lots of people have tried to use frequencies to really disrupt other people's bodies so that they can't think or concentrate. I mean, I'll get into my little, thing where.
Well, there's the 432 hertz.
Yeah.
Thing. That people are talking about. And, if you look at that in sacred geometry and, all of the hermetic principles and things like that, they're looking at ancient things and applying them in a very real way now.
Right. Well, I think that even in Cuba at the U.S. Embassy, there was somebody who was using a frequency weapon against people, and they came back with sort of minor brain injuries and things like that. So, I mean, it's definitely scientifically, proven that.
Right, but how did ancient people know that 432 hertz was mathematically consistent with the universe? Right?
Well, no.
So, and so today they're saying it's beneficial to healing, and in ancient times they were saying it was beneficial to healing because it's in some of the old places.
Exactly.
When they play an instrument, it vibrates. It's something.
Well, yeah, but my point is that this is whether you get from one place to another, we'll go back to the Earth is round type thing. A man.
God, I hope so.
Well, they proved that in Egypt. They proved that.
No, I have a friend who's a navigator, and there is no way that he could do what he does if the Earth wasn't round.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've ever been on the lake and looked at the horizon, you see the top of the sail first. You don't see if the Earth was flat, you'd see the ship in really small, and the ship would get bigger. Not that you would see the top of the mast and then you would see more. Of the ship. Well, I mean that's right. Yeah. But anyway, and
our skeptical mind tells us, oh, thank God.
Well, yeah. Well, plus if you've ever been in a plane and you can look out and you can see the curvature of the Earth, but
that's the thing. Have an open mind, because that is the most teachable way you can be. But you also have to be skeptical, or it's all for naught.
Right.
So we need both our intellectual and spiritual brains, both our right and left. It's all about balance, and so all these visionary experiences and things. There's much more to them than let's prove it exists or let's prove it can happen.
Right.
It's meant to be a personal experience, and it's meant to open up a gate that leads you down a path of study of which you learn deeper things.
Well, I think that the key thing about it is imagination is such a big part of life, and to live without that, at least to live without the idea of creativity or imagination or these different types of things would just
No, and it's an important part of evolution.
exactly.
You know, it is an important part of our survival. And so the visionary state, again, opens us up to study and questioning and thinking, and we evolve. So nature did a slam dunk job on making these things random.
Yeah. And it does it. I think that in a lot of ways is if we didn't have these different methods of creativity and imagination and different parts of it, then realistically, well, where would we be? That would be an interesting thing. I mean, we'd be a lot crueler to each other, I think. Just from a standpoint of that. But so do you whenever you're going on different, do you go to now you've where you've gone to now, have you found spots of the farm where you're living currently? Or is that something you look for, or you just look for petroglyphs and realize that that's probably...
Usually where you find prolific petroglyphing is a spot of the fawn.
Mm-hmm.
People became visionary. They documented what they saw. They connected to the spirits in these places. So, yeah. Or we know of spots of the fawn because they're amazing landmarks, giant ones like Devil's Tower or places like that. They have a mythology around them. People go there. They have experiences. They have extraordinary experiences with their prayer work and their spirit work. When I just go out and look, spots of the fawn are a funny thing, though. These are known sites, and then there are domesticated sites where ancient people have geomanced the land and increased the electromagnetics of a place.
Can you explain what that means, geomancing? Because I think that's not necessarily a common everyday term.
Well, with geomancing, people have seen geomancing with dowsing, right? People who use the dowsing rods and then they sense a certain, they divine certain energies, or they divine water with their body with these rods, and the body is one of the most, the best instruments you have to detect these kind of energies. And these energies are electric, telluric energies that run across the land like water. If you want to know about energy, study water. And then the magnetic anomalies also are sensed that way. And the earth makes patterns. It has certain patterns that are sacred geometrical designs. And so when you geomance the land, there is a way to increase these energies to a way that raises consciousness or makes things more fertile and healthy. Experiments have been done in places that were geomanced, where the energies were focused and kind of corralled into an area by using specific geology and minerals. Experiments have been done with corn, and the corn had a 300% yield increase because they were in a place that was a spot of the fawn, that it was a highly charged area. So the 7 minutes with these seeds would result in a 300% yield. So you'll see people leaving seeds on altars and then taking them and using them to plant, but we sort of overlook that, when actually it's seed charging. And that's based on the work of John Burke. He wrote a book, Stone of Knowledge, Seed of Plenty, with Hodge Albrook.
Right.
And you can read about that there. So there are domesticated sites such as, the big pyramids in Mesoamerica, Egypt has many, and they are found in the Mound Builder area. There are sites that were already power spots, but they've corralled the telluric energies by using, I'm not explaining this very well, by using certain key pieces of geology.
Mm-hmm.
So they increase them. So we call those domestic spots of the fawn. Wild spots of the fawn are just power places that have high electromagnetic energies in them, crossing points, nodes. The wild places, you might be in one right now and not even know it. So I can feel it with my body. Most people can if they're quiet. But you can also, if you notice you're more visionary and things are happening with ghosts and activity and, there's lots of what the mainstream calls supernatural activity, you're probably in one. Right. You can get a tri-field meter and coil, a laboratory grade one, and use those to check and see if it has high levels of electromagnetic activity. Most likely it does if these things are present. So you can go out in the forest and be in one and not even know it. Especially if you're in Oregon or Washington, there's a lot of granite, there's a lot of underground water, there's a lot of volcanations. So, chances are where the most Bigfoot sightings are is the most concentration of spots of the fawn. They can be small, they can be large, they can drift, they can move, they can be there one day and gone the next.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because, where we have believed that we've seen Bigfoot the most is by Granite Falls, and there's that, but you can literally feel by the falls itself, just the power of that coming over it, and when you get up into that,
what you'll find with domesticated sites is they're anchored. They've been anchored by the hand of man. When you're out in the forest, they seem to be like blossoms. They bloom and they close and they drift, just like water. On the surface, the telluric currents run like water.
Right. Well, that's been fascinating talking to you about it. Now, we're almost.
Thanks for having me.
We're almost at the end. Don't hang up yet. I just want to make sure that we get. I want to make sure that we go ahead and explain where people can read your materials, and it's at www.spotsofthefawn.com. And I don't know why I try to spell it with a U for some reason.
I don't have any big things out there. I don't do classes. I don't do
No, but that's not but that's not the point. Yeah. You do.
The book will be out in fall, maybe.
Yeah.
It's written, but we'll see.
But
when it does, it'll be on my website and it'll be on Amazon.
Well, but I think that the key thing about it is that you do talk about your experiences. You talk about other people's experiences. You can
friend me on Facebook if you're a Facebook person. It's under Alyssa, ALYSSA, Adisi-waya, and that is ADISIWAYA.
And
or you can look for Kevin and look in his friends list.
Yeah,
find me.
and I think that the interesting thing about it is, Alyssa, that from that standpoint, you're very kind to people. You never, if people ask you a question, you always try to answer it for people. And but like with Alyssa, and just like everybody else, she's got her tradition and ways that she sees things, and please respect it. I mean, I don't think you're waiting to be converted to a certain religion or anything, are you?
No, that would be impossible in my case. I am very sovereign, so I really respect that in other people. Truth, love, and freedom is one of the most important parts of the world to me.
Right.
So everybody. Yeah, I really respect other people's boundaries. Yeah. I respect other people's perceptions, and I demand that of of myself too.
Okay, love. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.
All good things to you and everybody. Bye.
Bye.
People came from miles around to throw their trash down in to see how deep the hole was and listen for its end. Then one day, that fateful day, they C4 smell off his